Hello, YouTube. How you doing? I need this more than you do. It's Red Bull. Yeah, I call it Crack Bull. I live off of it. So what are we talking about today? Look, it's obsidian. It looks like a dildo or a shoehorn. This is the weirdest piece of obsidian I've ever seen. My working space, there's a cat digging in the litter box, so if that's what you hear, not my fucking problem. My working space is a fucking mess. I'm of the belief that if you are a witch who does any kind of workings and you have the cleanest working altar and the cleanest everything, in my opinion, something is horribly wrong in your life because altars are meant to be a bit messy. Now, of course, that's going to be different for everybody because I know I'm going to get bitched out. Oh, I got children. I can't leave things messy. Blah, blah, blah. You're telling me I'm doing it wrong. Did you also know that I'm sexist? Yeah. It's not what this video is about, by the way, but apparently I'm sexist. I really want this to burn. In a Facebook occult group that I'm a part of, Whiskers, you're not even scratching at anything. You've already shit. There's no need to scratch at nothing. I love the smell of this. This is a sweetgrass, sage, and cedar smudge stick. Sometimes I'll light it and then I'll just let it. Whatever. Apparently, this occult group I'm in, I was talking about witch wars and how I think that they're really stupid, and the majority of what I see on Facebook are women attacking other women, and that makes me sexist because I'm pointing out that it's women attacking other women, and the fucking age we live in. The fucking age we live in. I have another story for you, but I'm gonna leave that for the next video. I'm gonna be doing a few videos today, so I'm gonna be looking fugly in a lot of them. So if you don't like fugly people, get the fuck off my channel. But this video I wanted to talk to you about. In previous videos, I said that I don't work with deities. I don't work with gods or goddesses, and I don't. In a previous video, I talked about how I was a Christian and now I'm a witch, and some stupid bitch found that really fucking offensive, and so on and so forth. And we're not friends anymore. I lost a friendship over that. If you haven't seen that video, there's a card, so on and so forth. Check that out. But my craft has been evolving. Okay. So I kind of got a little bit into hoodoo, but not really. Like, I haven't been reading books, and I have a whole fucking thing on that too. I haven't been reading books, and I haven't, I've just been mostly watching YouTube, and I've been really kind of interested. So I started incorporating a little bit of jar magic in, so I started doing things like honey jar spells, and you saw my hoodoo hex oil lamp. I don't really know if that's hoodoo, but I've been meaning to make another one. It worked. They're very quiet, these crackheads, and they're almost never around. But they lost their job. Or at least that's my understanding. They lost a job that they had. And I want to do this hoodoo hex oil thing again, just to really fuck with them. I really, really hate these people. And I don't really hate a lot of people. In this occult group, I was talking about the witch wars, and some stupid bitch who really loves to post 50,000 discussion topics, because if you know anything about occult groups, and I put occult in quotes, on Facebook, it's all about discussions, and half of them probably don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. But that's a whole other subject. Anyways, so she said to me, she's like, oh, I bet you don't live a drama-free life. I was like, bitch, please, yes I do. And she's like, oh, I've seen you in these other groups. You don't live a drama-free life. I live a drama-free life. Very, very drama-free. The problem is that people don't like things that I say. Or they think I'm misleading or misappropriating or fucking misinforming. And that is not the point of this video. I've just gotten way off topic because I'm just kind of in I'm in an angry-ish mood today because of a message I received on Facebook, and I will get to that in another video. But let's backtrack all the way back to this Christian witch thing. I'm actually gonna burn some sage. So, people have been asking me if I am a Christian witch, and I'm not. And I stand by that. I am not a Christian witch. I will never be a Christian witch. But what people might not know is that, you know, I did have a very rough, very depressing moment in my life that I almost took my own life. And something told me to live. Something told me to fight, to keep going. And I assumed that that was God, because usually in your darker... Ooh, this is still on fire. I set this on books, and I'm like, oh, wait, there's still an ember or two or 5 burning. So let's not burn my house down. But so I was in this really, really dark space, and I could not deal with life. And usually for people who get that low in their own personal life, some sort of voice reaches out, some sort of inner strength, some sort of last resort of, hey, I'm here, I'm listening. And I thought that was God. So I explored that whole aspect for a very short amount of time over the summer, sort of. And I started watching YouTube again. And that's when I found like Lady Grave Dancer, Amber Honey Raven, so on and so forth. And I started getting back into my own craft. And I love the smell of sage. I started getting back into the craft and like exploring it. And if you've seen my really earlier videos, I had nothing. I didn't have any of the shit you see now. And I only buy things that I'm going to use, and everything on this table I've used. And every herb that you've ever seen me buy in a herbal haul I've used. Every crystal or gem that I've ever bought, and they're like right here, I've used. Everything I buy, I use. I don't buy anything unless I'm going to use it. I've used every tarot deck that you've ever seen. I've used it. So I'm very of the mindset that if you're not going to use something, don't fucking buy it. But one of the things that really stood out to me in this like hoodoo tradition was my witchcraft took more of a folk magic approach. Like, I'm really interested in folk magic and the folk stories and, you know, the Celtic ways and so on and so forth. But with the hoodoo thing, one of the things that really inspired me was Psalms magic. And how the slaves, and if I understand this correctly, and somebody can scream at me, especially if you are African American and you are of the hoodoo tradition, please feel free to like literally hunt me down and stab my eyeballs out and call me a horrible white privileged man if I'm getting this all wrong, because I probably am privileged. But the slaves used to use psalms as, or verses of psalms, or even sometimes whole psalms as like spells and so on and so forth, and they would read them and they would pray to the Catholic saints who were actually their deities. So if their slave master came in and was like, what the fuck are you doing? All he would see is that, you know, they were reading their Bible and they were, you know, praying to a saint. That's my understanding of it. And I work with 2 saints, although I always get this confused. And this is why I would make a horrible Christian. I work with Mother Mary as my main overall deity, if you will. I call on her, I read, I got this prayer card that really stuck out to me. You know those prayer cards where they got like the picture of the saint or the angel or Mother Mary or Jesus on them, and then on the back they've got this prayer you can read. Well, with Mother Mary, I have one of hers that I always read before I ask of her anything. And I have a candle that I light for her, whether it's a white prayer candle or it's a candle of any color that has her image on it. I light those. I read her prayer card. I read a couple of psalms in order. You've seen in previous videos where I will use psalm magic, so like this is nothing new. But I will read a couple of psalms to get whatever it is that I want to get. I'm holding quartz in case you're curious. But I pray to her and I ask of her protection. And in a previous video I showed you, I think it was like the Witchy Bitchy tour or something, but I showed you the Jesus altar, as I called it. And most of the figures on there are like, there's 2 Mother Mary statues, there's some angels, there's candles that have Jesus or Mother Mary on them, there's prayer candles, there's seashells. I don't know why, but I just really felt like needing to put them there. There's quartz crystals around her, and there's some prayer cards now on there, but that I'll read every now and then if I'm saging the area. And I feel a very strong connection to her. I feel like she's very protective. She's a mother, and she's a martyr, and she lost her own son, and she is the embodiment of a mother. She's the Virgin Mary. She's everything, essentially. She's basically God's wife. If you really want to look at it in the most simplistic terms. But I work with her with almost every working I do. And anytime I'm working with her, I will never show you that. Never. The other person I work with, and I have a money altar right by the door, and I always put any spare money I have in my wallet, I put it at that altar. If it's bills, it goes under the plate. If it's coins, it goes on the plate. And I burn a gold candle. But I work with St. George. And I pray to him for his sacrifice, and I ask, to make sure that the car payments are always paid, that the rent is always paid, that there's food on or in the fridge, and that, there's a roof over my head. And I really realized that it worked the other day when I took a loonie to go to Superstore to get groceries, because I don't know in America if you have to do this, but the carts here, you have to put a loonie in to get the cart out. So I don't know if you guys have to do anything similar. But I didn't actually need to use the loonie because there was just a free cart right there. And I was like, okay, that's interesting. So I didn't think anything of it, and I managed to fill my fridge and my cupboards full of food. And if you know anything about me, which 99% of you don't, I grew up very, very poor. Very, very poor. And when I say grew up, I mean like from my teenage years to now. Before that, it was perfectly fine. But when I turned 18, well, 17, I moved out. But from 18 up to 26, I always lived paycheck to paycheck. I didn't have a car. I didn't know how to drive. If I wanted groceries, it would just be the bare necessities, whatever I could carry in my 2 hands. So I never had a full fridge. I've never had full cupboards. I've never had things before. And when I started working this job, things slowly started to get better. And it's still a whole process. But having a car, having money, having a fridge full of food. Like, I realized when I got home that, you know, this is St. George's doing. He is giving me what I want. And so every day I read his prayer card, I light his candle, and I thank him. Now, a lot of people are gonna get really fucking offended that a witch is working with the Mother Mary. Now, my understanding is that Bridget is actually the Mother Mary. Something about how she was turned into a saint. And I could be wrong. I'm always willing to be wrong because I don't read up on the mythos of these Celtic deities and so on and so forth. But I don't work with Bridget or whoever Mother Mary's supposed to be in the Celtic, you know, mythos. I think it's Celtic. I work with Mother Mary. I work with the Christian Mother Mary. And I work with the Christian St. George. And people are going to be offended because a witch is misappropriating, essentially, from what I've been told, the Christian mythos. And I don't give a fuck about the Christians took some of this and merged it into there and blah, blah, blah. I don't fucking care. I only work with things or people or spirits that communicate with me, and Mother Mary communicates with me. She fills me with a sense of direction, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of protection. She fills me with that motherly love, and it surrounds and embodies me. And St. George helps me maintain and keep my prosperity flowing. And I know there's gonna be a lot of people who are gonna be really, really offended that, you know, because apparently it's one thing to be using Psalms magic, because it's basically folk magic. But it's another thing to be praying to or using saints or religious icons in witchcraft. I don't know what it is, but it's offensive to the witchcraft community. And I'm not saying to all of you, because a lot of you are gonna be like, that's not offensive to me, I don't care. But a lot of these people find it very offensive. And I don't know why. But I thought I would share with you who I work with. I will never share with you any workings I'm doing with them. I will never share with you any spells or rituals I'm doing that involve them, because that is extremely disrespectful. But that's my story. And this is like a part 2 to the whole you were a Christian and now you were a witch and that's offensive. Apparently people like more serious videos. Fuck you and your seriousness. But I just thought I would, you know, let y'all know. I still work with the spirits, I still curse, I still hex. I am not a Christian witch, though. I don't care if this defines me by some fucking textbook as one. I'm telling you right now that I am not a Christian witch. Just because I work with a Christian icon or saint does not make me a Christian witch. Anyways, I have more videos to do. I got a fun one to do next. And I want to make an oil today too. I've been thinking of making this like sage, juniper, graveyard dirt kind of oil. And I think I'm gonna do it. So stick around, okay? Stick up and around. Love, love.